This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, sir.
Is it 7th sem class? Is this class for 7th semester?
Avun, sir.
Jyoti Prakash?
Yes, sir.
Is this class for 7th semester? Okay, we
Yes,
will
sir.
continue
Yes,
with today's topic. I am Dr. M. Nikhilesh, General Medicine Department. Today's topic we are going to discuss is about a important topic in headache. What is the commonest type of headache? Can anyone answer? Jyoti Prakash?
sir.
The migraines.
Okay. Huh? Can you repeat once? Is it migraine headache or tension type of headache or cluster headache? Can anyone answer? Which is the most common type of headache?
Tension headache, sir.
Migraine.
Tension
Huh?
headache.
Very good, very good. Tension type of headache is the most common headache. And this migraine will be the next to tension headache. And it is the most common cause of neurological disability related to headache. And now coming to basic types of headaches, sinus headaches, which we will encounter in a chronic sinusitis or an acute sinusitis patient. We can see the characteristic pain in the frontal sinus region and maxillary sinus region, where you can see here frontal sinus region and maxillary sinusitis region. And next type is a cluster headache. Cluster headache is a special entity. Why I am calling this as special entity? Because it is more like retroorbital pain, unilateral pain, retroorbital pain, and we will encounter a parasympathetic overactivity in the cluster headache. That means we can see lacrimation, ptosis, and the all related to parasympathetic activity, rhinorrhea, nasal congestion. See, will be seen in the cluster headache. And the most common variant of headache is this tension type of headache. The pain is like a band and squeezing the head. The most differentiating feature between tension type of headache and migrainous headache is tension type is a band like, and it is holochronium in region. The pain will be like band like, and it will be all over the region of our temple. And in migraine it will be unilateral. You can see in this picture. Coming to migraine, migraine is a complex recurrent headache. The term migraine is derived from Greek word from hemicranios, which means half head. Migraine can occur at any age, but initial attack occurs during adolescence. More common in females. Females to males ratio is 3:1. And the family history is present. You can see familial hemiplegic migraine and its variants. The clinical presentation of a migraine patient is unilateral throbbing or pulsatile localized in the frontotemporal and ocular areas, moderate to severe intensity, which tends worsen with routine levels of physical activity. Patient prefer to lie in a dark room, and this is the point which we can Differentiate between cluster headache and migraine headache in history. In cluster headache, during the attack, the patient will move, will not stay inside the room. And in migraine headache, patient prefer to lie in the dark room because he has photophobia, phonophobia, nausea, vomiting, all other related complaints. Cluster headache may also contain all the photophobia, phonophobia features, but it is classical presentation of a migraine headache. The phases of headache, migraine headache. It is first phase is prodromal phase, next is headache, third one is postdromal headache. I am telling only the three phases because the common headache related to migraine is migrainous headache without aura. The common migraine, that means 80% of patients who are suffering from migraine will not have aura. The second variant in migraine is classical migraine. It occurs only in 20% of patients, and this 20% of patients will only have migraine with aura. And in those 20% of patients, we can see this fourth phase aura. Is it clear? Is it audible? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Prodromal phase. In prodromal phase, it's a vague premonitory symptoms that begin 12 to 36 hours before aura and headache, which lasts for 15 to 30 minutes. Symptoms include yawning, excitation or depression, lethargy, and hunger. These are some basic premonitory features we will encounter in prodromal phase. And this is international classification of headache, migraine. Sorry, international classification of headache in migraine variant, migraine without aura, migraine with aura, and subclassification are migraine with typical aura, migraine with prolonged aura, familial hemiplegic migraine. It is important. Familial hemiplegic migraine is very important. We will discuss it in detail. Basilar migraine, migraine aura without headache, migraine with acute onset aura, ophthalmoplegic migraine, retinal migraine, childhood periodic syndrome that may be precursor to or associated with migraine. You may encounter this word in pathophysiology of nystagmus or vertigo in the CNS motor system. Benign paroxysmal vertigo of childhood, alternating hemiplegia of childhood, complications of migraine. You can see status migrainosus, which is an extreme variant, and you can see migrainous infarction. And the third variant of complication is migrainous seizures. Seizures may also occur in the migraine, and migrainous disorder not fulfilling the above criteria. Migraine without aura, this is also known as common headache, which I have already told you. Type of headache that occurs without transient neurological symptoms. It is usually preceded by prodromal symptoms. The pain is usually unilateral, supraorbital, throbbing, which may become generalized or spread to contralateral side. Pain increases on exertion, Valsalva maneuver during head low positions. And migraine with aura, it is completely neurological. It's a complex of neurological symptoms that may precede or accompany headache. It is usually develops over 5 to 20 minutes and lasts less than 60 minutes. It may be visual aura related complaints, or sensory or language leading to aphasia, or brainstem aura, or motor or cellular. It may occur alone or sequentially. These all aura related complaints of a patient you will see in detail now. Visual aura, scintillating scotoma, highly characteristic of migraine. Can anyone tell me about what is this scintillating scotoma? Scintillating scotoma. Okay, visual aura is the most common thing. Many of us will encounter while in summer. If we see in hot sun into the sky, many zigzag lines we can see in the while we are seeing the sun. Those are called as scintillating scotoma. It usually begins as shimmering arc of white light in the right or left visual field. The arc of light gradually expands. It may define in zigzag pattern, originate in the calcarean cortex. Can anyone tell about this calcarean cortex, where it is located? What is the Brodmann's area for this calcarean cortex or calcarean gyrus? Anyone? Jyoti Prakash? It is primary motor visual area. Area number 17. This calcarean cortex is beside this calcarean gyrus. From here, this scintillating scotoma will be originating. This symptoms related to visual aura will be originating. This is the same thing. Scintillating scotoma. And there are positive and negative scotoma. Positive scotoma means in which you have seen the scintillating scotoma, and negative scotoma means for certain visual field you cannot see anything. You will have physiological blind spot now. It replicates here. Other visual symptoms means micropsia, macropsia, and photopsia. You will be seen here micropsia and macropsia. This is micropsia, and this is macropsia, photopsia, and sensory aura. Second most common aura. Paresthesia involving face and hands lasts for 5 to 20 minutes, are also known as stereooral migraine. Numbness may be hemisensory, all four limbs, or it may be restricted to face, lips, and cheeks. Latent period of 10 to 20 minutes between aura and migraine. Gauge aura, this is language deficit. Aphasia can occur as aura in migraine. It is mild and transient. It may receptive or expressive. Alexia and agraphia can also occur as an aura. Alexia means difficulty in learning, and agraphia means difficulty to write. Encephalic migraine, it is very important variant of migraine. That means in migraine, aura will be present, but there is no headache. Encephalic migraine, aura not followed by migraine, also known as migraine equivalent. Patient will be having history of migraine with aura in the past. In the basilar variant of migraine, occurs in adolescents and teenagers, equal in males and females. Usually begins with typical aura, which is bilateral, followed by severe occipital headache. Associated with brainstem symptoms such as vertigo, dizziness, nystagmus, ataxia, and dysarthria and tinnitus. These are the brainstem symptoms we will see in the brainstem aura related migraine. Reticular formation disturbances in the brainstem leads to impaired level of consciousness, can be aroused. Recovery is followed by severe headache. Basilar migraine is replaced by migraine without aura as the age advances. And hemiplegic migraine, it's an important topic. Migraine associated with weakness of one half of body or one side facial paralysis. Hemiplegic migraine is of familial hemiplegic variant and sporadic variant. Unlike typical and after headache subsides, it is followed by a headache which persists it may persist for hours, days, and even months. Patient complains of heaviness of one half of the body, but clinical examination is normal. Recovery is usually complete. These three variants are very, very important in NEET perspective also. NEET exam perspective also. These genes are very important. Familial hemiplegic migraine type 1. It is mutation in the voltage gated calcium channel, CSCNA1A gene. And familial hemiplegic migraine type 2. Mutation in the voltage gated mutation in this Na plus K plus ATPase pump channel. Which gene is ATP1A1A2. And familial hemiplegic type 3. Mutation in the sodium channel alpha subunit. Here the gene is SCNA1, CNA1A, ATP1A2, SCNA1. Ophthalmoplegic migraine always occurs in teenagers. Unilateral retroorbital pain. Once headache subsides, there will be ptosis with complete paralysis of third nerve, and fourth and sixth nerves also may be involved. Retinal migraine, retinal dysfunction such as unilateral photoxia, altitudinal defects, and unilateral visual loss is seen in retinal migraine. Probable migraine, migraine like headache, any disorder. That is, in cluster headache, we can encounter this photophobia, phonophobia, and all visual aura-like symptoms, but it can be differed from the migraine. Probable, it can be discussed as probable migraine. The pathology is, the basic pathology in the migraine is sensory stimulation and neurovascular component. In sensory stimulation, there will be a release of calcitonin gene regulated peptide, CGRP. Calcitonin gene regulated peptide will be released at the trigeminal nerve endings, and the neurons are stimulated, and the signals are sent to the ventrobasilar and posterior part of the thalamus, and from there the signals will be going to posterior activated gray area and hypothalamus, and from there the negative signaling will be passed. That is sensory component, which is not in this slide. And neurovascular component related to idiopathogenesis. Migraine is primarily a neurogenic process with secondary genes in perfusion. Cortical spreading depression is the most underlying important pathology. Cortical spreading depression. It is a wave of neuronal in the cortical gray matter that spreads from its site of origin at the rate of 2 to 6 mm per minute. The cellularity causes aura phase, in turn activates trigeminal fibers to cause headache, which is discussed earlier. The vascular theory, vasoconstriction is responsible for aura and vasodilation is responsible for headache. These two are very important pathological entities on which the drugs will be acting. This vasodilatation is responsible for main headache. For headache suppression, we should give the drugs which act on which stop this vasodilatation. And for aura related complaints, we should deal with this vasoconstriction. Based on 3 observations, extracranial vessels becomes dilated and pulsatile during an attack. Stimulation of intracranial vessels causes headache due to vasodilatation. Vasoconstriction reduces headache and vasodilatation stimulates headache. The main neurotransmitters which are leading to these symptoms of this migraine are, there are important two neurotransmitter. First one is 5-hydroxytryptamine, monoaminergic neurotransmitter. It is also called as serotonin. Second one is dopamine. Due to this dopamine and serotonin, all the symptoms of migraine will be seen. The perivascular nerve activity results in release of substances such as substance P, neurokinin A, calcitonin gene regulated peptide, and nitric oxide, which produces vasodilatation, protein extravasation, and sterile inflammation, stimulating trigeminal cervical complex. These all pathology discussed previously, sensory pathology. And this dopamine pathway, some of symptoms associated with migraine such as nausea, vomiting, headache, yawning can be attributed to dopaminergic pathway. To reduce this nausea, vomiting, and yawning related complaints, we have to suppress this dopamine pathway. So we have to give dopamine antagonists like metoclopramide, domperidone, like this. And what are the triggers of migraine? Actually, we will more depend upon pharmacological therapy of migraine in our regular practice, but many non-pharmacological therapies will relieve completely the mild variant of migraine, like doing yoga and meditation, and practice stress-free life, and having a sound sleep, and avoiding the migraine precipitants like OC pills and nitrates, and nitric oxide, strong waters like nitric oxide, and hormonal changes in pregnancy and lactation. The main problem related to young adults at the time of menstruation, due to estrogen effect, this migraine will be precipitated. head trauma, exercise, cold stimulus, food containing tyramine and monosodium glutamate. All these are precipitants which we should avoid to prevent this migraine attacks. The complications of migraine, these are very important. Status migrainosus, persistent aura without infarction, migrainosus infarct, migrainosus aura triggered seizures, which we have discussed in the international headache classification earlier. And this is very, very important. Many headaches will mimic migraine, like cluster headache and autonomic cephalalgia is there. There are many types of headaches in the trigeminal autonomic cephalalgia. Cluster headache is one among it. And to differentiate all them from migraine, we have to follow this diagnostic criteria. At least 5 attacks fulfilling this criteria will be diagnosed as migraine. Headache attacks lasting for 4 to 72 hours. This time period is very important. Headache attacks should last from 4 to 72 hours. Headache has at least 2 of these following. Earlier in the picture we have seen unilateral type of distribution in the migraine and throbbing type of headache, throbbing and pulsatile type. Due to vasodilatation, it will be pulsatile and moderate to severe. The severity of migraine should be moderate to severe, and it should be aggravated by routine physical activity. In these 4, there should be 2 in the history of migraine. Headache of 4 to 72 hours plus any of these 2 and plus any of the one in the following: nausea or vomiting, photophobia or phonophobia. 4 to 72 hours, any 2 of this and any one of this. In physical examination, muscle tenderness should be checked, should be looked for. This muscle tenderness is also a differentiating feature between a cluster headache and migraine headache. Horner's syndrome, tachycardia and bradycardia, high BP, conjunctival congestion, hemisensory or hemiparetic neurological deficits, and the workup for migraine for clinical diagnosis. The structural, metabolic and other causes of headache should be ruled out. There are many causes. Hypoglycemia can also cause a headache. So structural and metabolic abnormality should be ruled out. Comorbidities also should be ruled out. What are the indications of neuroimaging? When we should go for MRI? Onset of migraine symptoms after 50 years of age. Change in pattern of previous migraine. First, severe headache. Headache with abnormal neurological findings. Headache with fever. We should look for meningitis also. Headache with fever for neck rigidity and Brudzinski's and Kernick's sign. Migraine and epilepsy. Posteriorly located headaches in children. For these causes, we should see neuroimaging. Visual field testing is performed if there is persistent visual phenomena, visual related aura complaints. The main aspect of this migraine is management. First, we should change our dietary and lifestyle habits to prevent migraine attack to occur. We should free from all these precipitants of migraine, which I have seen earlier. We should stop smoking, reduce alcohol intake, avoid stress and triggers, avoid drugs like nitrates, nifedipine, indomethacin, and theophylline. Food which contain nitrates and monosodium glutamate and tyrosine should be stopped. These are non-pharmacological modifications. And now coming to pharmacological things, the very important neurotransmitter, which is the main reason for all the symptoms, are serotonin. It is also called as 5-hydroxytryptamine. This 5-hydroxytryptamine has subunits 5-HT1B, 1D, and 1F. 5-HT1B and 1D agonists are called as triptans. I think you all are familiar with these triptans in second year pharmacology, sumatriptan and all this. sumatriptan, rizatriptan, zolmitriptan, naratriptan, favitriptan. Okay, and the site of action is to relieve the vasodilatation in order to reduce the headache, and inhibition of inflammatory mediators like substance P, nitric oxide, all that. It also inhibits activation of neurons in trigeminal nucleus caudalis. And 5-HT1B and 1D agonist is called as triptans. And one more subunit of 5-hydroxytryptamine is 5-HT1F, which is not mentioned in this slide. 5-HT1F agonists are called as dietans. 5-HT1B and 1D are called as triptans. 5-HT1F is called agonist is called as dietans. The routine, the common routes which we will give is oral. The dose is to 25, 50 mg and 100 mg and maximum up to 200 mg per day. And in subcutaneous 6 mg can be repeated for 2 hours. Intranasally 5 mg and 20 mg. It is fastest route of action. Actually, the migraine symptoms patients will encounter severe headache. There will be throbbing type of headache. So sumatriptan and zolmitriptan, these two drugs are available in intranasal form, sumatriptan and zolmitriptan. So we can prefer intranasal route to relieve this headache. According to USFDA, rizatriptan is most efficacious. Efficacy, actually, according to pharmacology, efficacy is directly proportional to potency in any drug situation. But in triptans, efficacy is directly proportional to Tmax. Tmax means, can anyone tell what is Tmax? Tmax. Anyone? The time for a drug to attain maximum peak plasma time. Here, efficacy of a triptan will be directly proportional to Tmax. Rizatriptan is most efficacious, early onset of action, and 5 to 10 mg and maximum dose up to 30 mg per day. Side effects include paresthesia, flushing, heaviness of chest and neck, decreased diameter of coronary vessel. Contraindications are CVA and CAD and pregnancy. And these triptans are called as selective 5-HT agonists. Triptans are called as selective 5-HT agonists. And this ergotamine and dihydroxyergotamine is called as non-selective 5-HT agonists. Both vasodilatation and vasoconstriction. It also acts on both vasodilatation and vasoconstriction component to decrease aura and headache. Better acting when given IV and rectally. Dihydroergotamine is rectal, oral, and it can be given IV also. Reduces recurrence of headaches in 24 hours. The main difference when action regarding this triptans and ergotamine is recurrence of headaches. There is a complication with this triptan. It has a side effect of recurrence of headache when using with triptan, but reduces recurrence of headache in 24 hours with these ergotamines. Due to its vast complications, ergotamine and dihydroergotamine are now not much in use due to peripheral vascular disease, coronary and lactation. It is contraindicated. Another drug are magnesium sulfate to decrease the neuronal excitation, and steroid, dexamethasone or prednisolone. And very important entity in treatment of migraine is in a patient with migraine attack, there will be decreased absorption in the intestine, because there will be decreased intestine peristalsis. Intestinal peristalsis is decreased, so thereby decreased absorption in the intestine. So we have to add a prokinetic agent to increase the absorption of a drug. So dopamine antagonists should be added. Chlorpyrrazine, prochlorpyrrazine, and promethazine, metoclopramide, domperidone should be added to increase the absorption of a drug. Opiates such as butorphanol nasal spray is also used in acute emergency setups. IV opiates can also be given to reduce the headache. IV meperidine 5 to 10 mg In emergency setup, we can give. And opioids should not be used continuously. And very important point regarding this triptans are, monotherapy with this triptans is not successful in routine practices, as we observe. Monotherapy with triptans is not effective. So triptans should be combined with analgesics like NSAIDs. Triptans should compulsorily combined with NSAIDs to increase the potency and to minimize the effects of minimize these headache related complaints. And the preventive aspects of migraine. Indications of prophylaxis are: frequency of migraine is more than 2 per month. Duration of individual attack is longer than 24 hours. Headache which causes major disruption in lifestyle. Symptomatic medications is ineffective. Use of abortive medications more than twice a week, and hemiplegic migraine. In all these conditions, we should use prophylaxis. The main principal classes of drugs which are used in prophylaxis are NSAIDs, which we will use commonly. They are naproxen 250 to 500 mg twice a day, ibuprofen, indomethacin, and anti-epileptics such as sodium valproate, topiramate, gabapentin, and antidepressants such as fluoxetine, and antihypertensives such as propranolol, timolol, verapamil, and serotonin agonists. Anti-epileptics we also discussed: valproate, gabapentin, carbamazepine, topiramate. Antihypertensives such as propranolol and timolol. Calcium channel blockers like verapamil, diltiazem, nimodipine, flunarizine. Flunarizine are effectively only in migraine with aura. Antidepressants such as tricyclic amlodipine, amitriptyline, 10 to 75 mg at night. Basically, a patient with migraine will usually present in working hours, because we already discussed initially, this migraine headache will increase while doing our physical activity, while doing our routine physical activity. So will usually present in our office hours, like working hours. So use of amitriptyline is also limited because it also causes sedation, amitriptyline. So it should add only at the night time for prevention purpose. SSRI such as fluoxetine and other drugs such as mirtazapine and venlafaxine. Serotonin agonist, actually in 1920 to 1930, I think, this methyl sergate is the first drug which is approved for migraine, reserved for intractable headache. Now it's not in common practice due to its adverse side effects. The main common side effect seen is pulmonary fibrosis and retroperitoneal fibrosis. So we will discuss less about it. Methyl sergate, CGRP, the newer drugs which are now in the market for migraine are CGRP inhibitors. They are Gepants. The drugs will end with Gepants. LKGepant, entacapavir. It is neuropeptide implicated in the pathophysiology of migraine. It is the first specific non-serotonergic migraine specific drugs without vasoconstrictor activity, suitable for patients with CAD, coronary artery disease, peripheral vascular disease, undiagnosed hypertension. But the side effects is hepatotoxicity. These are the newer drugs and very costly for migraine. LKGepant. Orexin receptor antagonist. Orexin A and B are neuropeptides that are synthesized in hypothalamus, plays a role in nociception. These are under trials, orexin inhibitors, and this is the final treatment for migraine. That is, if the patient is resistant to all pharmacotherapies and non-pharmacotherapies, we will go through modulation. They are transcranial magnetic stimulation and vagal nerve stimulation. Transcranial magnetic stimulation and vagal nerve stimulation. This is a device for neurostimulation. This is a device. It is called Cephale. Transcutaneous stimulation. It is also a device, handheld device. Serena transcranial magnetic stimulation. It gives a pulse. It gives pulses for transcranial magnetic stimulation. It is approved by FDA for acute migraine with ARA. Serena transcranial magnetic stimulator, and gamma core. It is used for vagal nerve stimulation, electric signal that stimulates vagal nerve. And other prophylactic uses are magnesium and riboflavin. And in our routine clinical practices, and for your competitive exam benefits, one assessment score is there for migraine disability assessment score. Migraine disability assessment score. It is also called as MIDAS, MIDAS, MIDAS score. Migraine disability assessment score. It is as follows. The first criteria is how many days you had skipped the school in past 3 months. You have to ask the person. Or how many days you have skipped the work in past 3 months. First criteria. Second criteria, how many days you have limitation or how many decreased productive working hours in your office or school. This is second one. The third one is how many days you have skipped the household activities in past 3 months. And the next one is how many days you have the limitation of household activities in the past 3 months. And the next one is how many days we have missed your family gatherings and all religious gatherings in past 3 months. These 5 you should ask the patient to assess the patient severity. On how many days you have headache in last 3 months. It is also a second criteria. And you should rate the headache in 0 to 10. And MIDAS criteria grading is as follows. Minimal disability, the score is 0 to 5. Mild disability 6 to 10. Moderate disability is 11 to 19. And severe disability is more than 20. And this is about today's topic, migraine. Finally, in summary, the pharmacotherapy and non-pharmacotherapy should be studied in detail. Non-pharmacotherapy means to relieve all the precipitant factors, and pharmacotherapy means in combination to triptan, analgesic should be added. Analgesic means NSAIDs, naproxen 250 to 500 mg per day, sorry, BD twice a day, along with sumatriptan. Sumatriptan 25 to 75 mg. We can go up to maximum 200 mg. It is the ideal drug now practiced in clinicals. The combination of sumatriptan and NSAIDs have been worked. And if a patient has complaints of headache in the night, you can add amitriptyline 5 to 10 mg only night time. You can add amitriptyline. Thank you.